Hey everyone. Today's gonna be a different vlog or video. Something happened last night and I promised myself that if that particular incident ever happened, I would record it and I would put it up on my channel in hopes that it might possibly help somebody out there who struggle with the same thing. Now, today's a Monday here in Japan, and typically on Mondays I do a segment called Things, I don't even know this segment here. Things you don't want to know, but I tell you anyways. But I'm not going to be doing that today. I'm going to be playing this video I recorded last night at about 4 o'clock in the morning, right after the thing happened. I'll just do the segment tomorrow. So if you guys are looking forward to that, I'll be posting it tomorrow. But as most of you guys know, I have anxiety. And oftentimes that anxiety leads to panic attacks. My panic attack started back in 2015. It was a very difficult time when I first started having my panic attacks because it started happening after I lost 2 people in my life that I loved, and the shock from everything, I just couldn't handle it and I just had a mental breakdown. And so for the year of 2015, I couldn't even leave my house. I was having panic attacks daily, 15 to 20 times a day. And most of you guys already know this story who have been watching me for a while. Now, I don't get panic attacks as much as I used to. I still do, but I've done a lot in the last 5 years since I've started having panic attacks that helped me manage it. And I promised myself that the next time I ended up having a panic attack, I would talk about the process of what helps me get through it. And so last night, I had some panic attacks, and the video I recorded was right after that. Right after the panic attacks. I just want to preface this by saying if you guys are not interested in this, because I know it's not my regular content where I talk about Okinawa or just, vlog about my life, don't worry about watching this. You don't have to watch every single video if you're not interested. You're more than welcome to come back tomorrow when I do the segment that I was supposed to do today. Things you don't want to know but I tell you anyways segment. But if you have panic attacks and anxiety and you're curious about the process of how I got through it and how I manage it, hopefully the video that I recorded will help you. Another thing I want to add is that the audio might not be exactly perfect, and that's because Matt was sleeping and I was recording, and since everything happens in the same room, I was trying to record quietly so that I wouldn't wake him up. So if the audio seems weird, sorry about that. I tried to clean it up as much as possible so you could hear what I'm saying, but okay. I'm gonna cut this intro now just so that you can go into the video and watch it, because that's where most of the content is. If you guys aren't gonna stick around for this video, I will see you guys in tomorrow's video. All right. Good morning. It's not even really morning. It's like 4 in the morning. It's like early morning. About 10 minutes to 4. I'm like trying to be really quiet right now because Matt's asleep. But I promised myself the next time this happened to me that I would record these moments in case it helped somebody. One of the suckiest things about having an anxiety disorder is that sometimes you can't tell whether you're getting sick or it's just an anxiety attack. Tonight, after I uploaded my video, I started getting really bad chills and I wasn't feeling very good. My throat started to hurt. And I was like, shit, I feel like I'm getting sick. After 15 minutes it went away, but then it came back again in like waves. And it wasn't really that intense, but it really made me, I was like, am I having an anxiety attack? Is this a precursor to a panic attack? Or am I coming down with something like a sickness or a cold or whatever, Rona? So I checked my temperature and I didn't have any. So I just went ahead and prepared for bed. It was probably about 12. At 1 o'clock, I was woken up because I felt immense chills, like the kind of chills that make your teeth chatter and your body shake. Immense cold all over the body. And if you could see, I'm wearing a sweater right now. And if you could see my feet, I'm wearing thick, puffy socks. And I have 2 layers of thick blankets on me, and still I was shivering cold. And I also felt like I was gonna pass out. Even though I was laying down, I felt like the world was spinning and I was gonna pass out. And I couldn't breathe. It was a panic attack. I know it, because usually this sensation also comes with like a really big urge to have to shit. Because when you get a panic attack, an anxiety attack, it also, and at least in my case, it also messes with my stomach. It makes it like tense and then loosen, and I don't know why I'm like going into detail of my feeling of needing to shit. Anyways, so knowing this is a panic attack, I kind of lay there, and then I just allow the feeling to kind of wash over me. And then finally it kind of calms down, and I go back to sleep. Not even like 10 minutes later, I wake up with another wave. Completely cold, feeling like I'm gonna pass out, world is spinning. And when I say pass out, there's this other feeling that comes with having a panic attack. It's like one of the scariest feelings, which is, I explain it like your body and soul are trying to drift apart from each other. Like your soul is trying to flow away from your body. It's like the feeling where honestly, it feels like you're dying. And my heart was pounding really, really hard in my chest. And then about 10-15 minutes later, it went away. And then so I just kind of drifted off to sleep again. This goes on and off for about, I don't know, an hour and a half. I go to sleep, I wake up, chills, rapid heartbeat, feeling like I'm gonna pass out. And then around 3 o'clock, now I'm not cold anymore. Now I'm really hot. My entire body is warming up to a point where it's unnaturally hot, like from the inside, from deep within, I'm hot. So I take out the covers, and I'm sweating. I've got beads of sweat on me, and I can't breathe. And my face starts to hurt because it starts to tingle, and the back of my neck starts to tingle. And now it's the hot flashes, and then that goes away. And then when that went away, I had a dream. It was like a simple dream. I was standing in the kitchen upstairs, and my uncle came upstairs, and I told him, you know, I've been having a really rough night and I don't think we can go drive today. And then he comes in and he's coughing and hacking, and he's like, I can't go either because I have a cold. And I think in that moment, in my dream, I started panicking. Because, like, in my head, especially right now in this day and age, when somebody is like, coughing and hacking, I'm like, it's Rona. So in my dream, I was freaking out because I thought my uncle had the virus, like I had given him the virus. And I felt so guilty and so scared because I didn't want to lose him. And so in my dream, I fell backwards. Like, you know, like the world crumbles underneath you and you fall through the cold earth. And so in my dream, I was falling, which woke me up here with an immense feeling of, like, you know, that soul leaving your body and immense heat. Again, the heat, hot flashes, so hot. Start sweating. I've talked about this before, of when this panic attack started. It was back in 2015 after losing my dad and my grandma back to back, 4 months apart from each other. It was like the first time I ever had something so earth-shattering, and I just had a mental breakdown. And the entire year of 2015, this feeling, this constant panic attack, this exact feeling, the heart palpitations, the rapid heartbeat, the cold flashes, the feeling like your soul's leaving your body. It happened maybe 15 times a day. I couldn't leave my house for a year. I couldn't even get out of bed. I was a hermit. I couldn't function as a human being because these feelings are so intense. When they happen, they literally feel like you're dying. They felt that way for me just now. Each panic attack, I was like, oh, even to this day, after having panic attacks for going on 5 years now, every time I still get it, there's still a voice in the back of my mind that's like, oh my God, am I about to die? Should I go to the hospital? Is this a heart attack? It's terrifying. They call this feeling a feeling like you're gonna die, sense of impending doom. And it's an actual symptom of panic attacks because it's so common. It's such a common trait with panic attacks, the sense like you're about to die. What I have is called nocturnal panic attacks. My panic attacks usually get triggered during the night when I'm sleeping, when I'm calmed. It wakes me up with rapid heartbeats in the sense of impending doom. My body either gets hot or cold. The world spins. My body feels like my soul feels like it's floating away from the body, and like I'm on the verge of dying, like I'm losing control. And it usually happens between the hours of 1 to 3 in the morning. It doesn't really happen too much during the day, and I think a lot of that is because I'm, busy during the day and I have my mind just, I'm constantly moving. But usually for me, my panic attacks happen at night, and it sucks because those panic attacks take everything out of you physically, and it's hard during the day to function because it's like, I don't know, it just takes everything out of you physically. You finally go to sleep, you wake up and you're tired and exhausted. I wanted to record this because my friend just recently had her first panic attack about a month ago, and she's struggling with it. She gets maybe 10 or 15 a day, and she's never had it before. And the first one, she explained to me what the symptoms are, and it's exactly the same as what's going on. So through these panic attacks, in between, I've been texting her and letting her know what my symptoms are, and then I'd fall asleep, and then I'd have a panic attack, and I'd reach for my phone and let her know, hey, it happened again, because I want her to know, like, this happens, even to me. It doesn't happen as frequently as it used to. Like I said, 2015, this happened 15, 20 times a day, every single day, to a point where I couldn't function, I couldn't leave the house. I remember when I first started getting panic attacks, I went online to find other people who were going through this. And there's these forums online for people with panic attacks. And I was trying to find a solution, trying to fix this problem. And at first, talking to people who had been going through similar things as me was comforting, because they understood what I was going through. But then one time I remember reading that there was this person who had been suffering from intense panic attacks for the 30 years of his life. And it made me realize that those groups and forums were comforting me because it was giving me an opportunity to talk to people who understood me, because at the time nobody here understood me. Matt had never had a panic attack before, so I could explain to them the feelings, but he didn't understand. Eventually he did end up having one. It was really bad too. He had a panic attack one night out of nowhere, and he fainted from it because he didn't know what was happening, and it freaked him out so much that he fainted from it, and he landed on his shoulders and broke his clavicle. Yeah, that was his first panic attack. They had to take him to the emergency room for that because of his broken clavicle. I remember he looked at me and he told me that is the worst feeling in the world. I was like, yeah, it is, because it literally feels like you're dying. It's terrifying. But anyways, this guy on the forum was saying that he had it for 30 years, and he used to be like this high performance guy in corporate world. He was climbing the corporate ladder, and one day he just started getting panic attacks, and he couldn't function anymore. He couldn't leave his house. He was popping pills like Xanax and stuff for his anxiety, and so many people I found were like him. Some people had it for 5 months, some people had it for a year, some people had it for 5 years. This guy had it for 30 years. And I realized that these people were comforting me because they understood where I was coming from, but they weren't offering me a solution. And that was the one thing that I realized when you start having a panic attack, is that as comforting as it is to be around people who understand what you're going through, it's almost detrimental to constantly seek comfort from people like that, because there's no solution. You're all just kind of helping each other and kind of feeding those feelings. It's like my mom said, it's two people in a water trying to climb onto the boat at the same time. Neither of you guys can help each other when you're in the water to climb into the boat. One person has to climb into the boat first and then pull the other person up. But when you have a bunch of people who have panic attacks, like nobody's helping each other because nobody can't. We're all in the water. That was the first thing I realized. That was my biggest mistake. So I had to stop going on those forums and seeking comfort. I had to figure out ways to seek solutions, to figure out how I can fix this. The second thing that was my biggest mistake when I had a panic attack was when the panic attacks would happen, I would start getting nervous and anxious for the next one, which would usually trigger another panic attack, because I would fight it. I'd be like, I don't want another panic attack. I can't have another panic attack. And I would fight it within myself. And when you are anticipating something you don't want to happen, and you start fighting it within yourself, and you start like trying to push against it or push away from it or run away from it, it actually causes more panic and anxiety because it heightens your anxiety. And that's something that's common that people do, which was one of my friends going through right now is, she's so constantly worried that she's going to have another panic attack that it's heightening her anxiety and triggering another panic attack. And one of the things that you have to do, and it's so uncomfortable when you get into these moments and when you have your panic attack, is you actually have to just let it happen. When the panic attack happens, the first thing I tell myself is, as uncomfortable as these feelings are, I have to tell myself, this is just a panic attack. I'm going to be okay. I'm just going to go back to sleep. I'm just going to close my eyes, just allow these feelings to pass over me, and I'm just going to go to sleep. This is not going to control me. And even though the panic attacks sometimes keep happening in waves, the more I do that, I get through it faster. And I get through it mentally a lot more peacefully than if I was fighting against the panic attack, worrying when the next one was going to come. In fact, when I first started having my panic attacks, every panic attack I would wake up and I would drive myself to the hospital, or I would have Matt drive me to the hospital because I was convinced that I was having a heart attack. And I think in the course of 6 months I went to the hospital maybe 20 or 30 times, not including general practitioners to try to figure out what was wrong with my body, as well as urgent cares. I was constantly going to seek medical treatment because I was convinced that there was something wrong with me. And how my healing started to happen was one night I had my panic attack, and I was about to wake up Matt to go to the hospital. Then there was like a voice inside my head, and I was like, you know what, I'm pretty fucking tired. Like, I'm exhausted. I haven't gotten any sleep in the last 8 months. And I told myself, you know what, I don't give a fuck if this is a heart attack. I don't give a fuck if I'm about to die. I want some fucking sleep. And I just told myself that. I was like, I'm going to go to sleep. If I fall asleep and I don't wake up, that's so be it, but I'm going to go back to sleep. And then the moment I said that, my panic attack backed off. I didn't feel it anymore. And since then, that's how I've been able to get through my panic attacks. It wasn't a quick fix. I had to tell myself that every single night until eventually the daily panic attacks turned into maybe 5 times a week, to 3 times a week, to once a week, to once a month, to, every 6 months. And then it just lessened and lessened over time. But each time I would tell myself that, I'd be like, you know what, I don't give a fuck. If this is going to kill me, I welcome this. I welcome the feelings of these panics, and I've welcomed this feeling of cold and these intense feelings like my soul is ripping apart from my body. I accept this. I invite this. And each time I do, the faster the panic goes away. Now I get panic attacks when I'm really stressed. I usually know when it's going to happen. So I was anticipating it tonight. I was like, okay, I'm probably going to have a panic attack tonight. And so when I did, I was like, yep, there it goes. And then I tell myself, okay, just let it happen. It's fine. It's not going to kill you. It's just your body just needs to let out this excess energy. The third thing that I made a mistake on was I figured out how to deal with my panic when it got triggered. But then I would get frustrated because it wasn't curing it. You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't fixing it. It wasn't going away completely. I would still get it. I mean, it was few and far between. It wasn't like daily panic attacks, but I would still get it when I'd get stressed. So it would happen maybe every 3 or 4 months. And each time I would get so depressed and sad because I'm like, oh my God, like, I figured out how to get through this, but it's still not going away. And I think when you have panic attacks and anxiety attacks, you have to kind of throw away the notion that you're going to fix it and just kind of accept the fact that it's going to happen every once in a while, and that's okay. You know, my mom talks about it like it's like your body is building up all this tension from all the stress and all the anxiety that you have. And then it's like an earthquake, like the tension keeps building, you know, like the tectonic plates, the tension builds and then eventually it snaps. And then the earth shakes. And that's what I think a panic attack is. From all the stress and anxiety, my body is just tensing. And then all of a sudden it just snaps. And then my body just starts to shake into a panic attack to release all that excess energy. So now I look at it that way. It's just my panic attacks are just a way of my body releasing excess tension and energy. And don't get me wrong, there are times I get panic attacks and I am much more logical that I can think that way, where I'm like, okay, this is just a panic attack, I'm fine. But there are still panic attacks I have every once in a while where I lose that logical side of my brain and I go into a full-on mental breakdown where I'll be walking around and crying and like not handling my shit. But I wanted to make this video. I promised myself the next time I got a panic attack that I would make this video because panic attacks are so common and anxiety attacks are so common that, like I said, when I first had my panic attack, I kept looking for people who would comfort me, people who would understand me. But I wanted to be that voice that kind of offered a solution instead of just telling you that this is going to be your curse for the next 30 years of your life. The only way it's going to be that way is if you allow it to be. It's not necessarily about curing it or fixing it or getting rid of it. It's more about learning to live with it and manage it when it happens. I may end up having panic attacks on and off for the rest of my life, and I may not. I don't know. But just look at it that way. Just your body releasing the excess tension, because if it stayed inside of you, it'll probably do more damage to your body because you're just holding on to all that tension. And a panic attack is just a way of releasing that excess anxiety and stress and tension. I don't know if that's true, but that's how I look at it, and it really helps a lot. It's uncomfortable every single time it happens. Definitely. There's a book I recommend for people who are going through panic and anxiety, and it's called Dare by, what's the guy's name? Let me look it up. It's called Dare, The New Way to End Anxiety and Stop Panic Attacks by Barry McDonough. And I only read the book maybe a year ago because I was thinking about writing my own book on ways to help kind of stop panic attacks, and I was doing research. And so I read this book because it's one of the only books out there that really talk about stopping anxiety and panic attacks. And a lot of the things that I figured out for myself on how to get through panic attacks early on when I was having them, this book talks about. I mean, exactly the same methods that I figured out for myself. A lot of the methods he writes in the books are the methods that I use to manage my panic attacks. So if you're one of those people that suffer anxiety and panic attacks, I highly recommend that book, Dare by Barry McDonough. I'll link that in the description below for anybody who needs it. But okay, it's 4:30 in the morning, and it's my last day off, and I need to go to sleep. My body is completely calm right now, so I think my body released all the tension it needed to through all those panic attacks, and I think if I try to sleep now, it'll just let me fall asleep. So I'm gonna go to sleep. I know this is a weird video or a vlog, and most of you guys probably aren't even watching this to the end, but I just wanted to, like I said, be a voice of solution for those of you guys who are going through panic attacks and anxiety attacks, and just let you know that this is not a life sentence. It is manageable, and you can lessen it for sure. I'm so tired. I'm gonna go to bed now. Thank you for listening. I'm like falling asleep. Okay. If you guys have any questions, leave it in the comment below. I also have my email in the description below, so if you guys are one of those people who are suffering from panic attacks and anxiety attacks, you're more than welcome to email me if you need help or if you have any questions. Alright, I'm gonna go to bed now. I think my brain's gonna let me do that. Alright, love you guys. I'll see you in tomorrow's video. Peace.